I'm just a regular girl in Johannesburg, South Africa. I'm 41 years old, and for the last 3 years, I've been fascinated with everything fourth industrial revolution and the changes that are happening. And I've leaned towards the education space as somebody who loves to learn. I just think outside of mainstream, there's a lot of content and a lot of ways to learn that are ignored by mainstream. So I found my place there. But I've always been fascinated by the human condition. I've always been fascinated by the human story. So the series gives me that opportunity to tap into people's minds and find out, what do we think about when we are not busy? So that's who I am in a nutshell.
Well, first I'll start off by giving my name, Zeph Masote. I'm also 41, you figure that. And much like you, I think I've also been on this journey internally, trying to figure self out, right? Bigger than trying to figure out what other people are doing. I think the last 2.5 years have been all about trying to navigate the inner, trying to come to terms with who's this.
Yeah. Can I ask why that's important?
It is very important, and it is not misplaced, or should I say it's not displaced. I come from a spiritual background. I grew up going to church a lot. But as you grow up, you ask questions. There are things that you read. There are things that you know. There is our colonial history that does not match with our African traditions. Then there is the Christian church, which came and shoved down the Bible down our throats through the barrel of a gun. That was me beginning to interrogate all of that and say, but geez, here we are as a people, call it African people, Black people, or just people in general. We go to church, whether religiously, Saturday, Sunday, yet we do not question how this message was brought to us. I then went through a whole journey of questioning my relationship with Christianity, religion, and I figured that, yes, I do believe in God. I subscribe to God. I am subservient and a servant to Him, but I really do not want to be dogmatic anymore with regard to being a religious or devout religious guy who goes to church every Saturday as a Seventh-day Adventist. With that comes so what do I do then? Then comes all right, searching. Or within the search, life changes happen, you question the decisions that you make as an individual. And then comes I think I crisscrossed, I don't know how I even did this, came across Oprah's series, I think it was last year or year before, the Own series where she did a series of podcasts with Eckhart Tolle.
Oh, and that yes. The Power of Now.
The Power of Now and A New Earth, right? So those two materials were the vessel to me towards really beginning to look in.
Wow. And now you're 41, and have you found you?
I think it's a daily battle. There are days where I think, oh geez, this is, I am centered. And of course, the moment you begin to say you are centered, you are off.
Yeah.
The destination to me is never reached. So the pursuit of the destination, the pursuit of wanting to do better, wanting to be in harmony with everything, in harmony first with self, but to really be in harmony with self, you have to be in harmony with your next being. To be in harmony with the next being, you have to harmonize with nature.
So I find that so fascinating because there is a part of me that suspects that there is a general awakening globally where people are fed up with the status quo. Do you think that the events that are happening right now are a reflection of what is happening internally, I guess, with individuals, with millions of individuals around the world?
I read something, I think it was on Monday. Someone was suggesting that we need to fix the world, right? And the response to that was, that is such an arrogant disposition from a human being, because nature has always found a way to correct itself. And I think we've come to a point, whether it's today or in the next 50 years, we are at the beginning of a major shift. Short version of the question, it's a yes. But as well, we need to fix ourselves and leave the earth to do what it does. It will do what it does. So as a species, human beings, we are quite young. So at some stage, the dinosaurs were no longer fit for purpose. Are we getting to a point where we are no longer fit for purpose for the earth, right? So those are some of the questions that one asks
Funny
themselves.
enough, that's a conversation that I had with my mother just the other day. She was telling me that there've always been prophecies about, the end of days and, the end of our species because we have been anything but useful to the general, ecosystem. And I was quite surprised that I was having that conversation with her because my perception was that my mom is a traditional, dogmatic, religious person. Turns out she's exceptionally woke. And we're just having the most incredible conversations with her right now. And I mean, we apply that in business. We look at how businesses are changing. And her and
Yeah,
my dad have been in business for many, many, many years. And I remember her saying to me, I feel sorry for your generation. You have so much on your shoulders. There's so much that is happening, so much that is changing. And then she ends with, for your guys' sakes, I hope it is the end of days. I was like, what? I still want to live. I want to be here to fix. I've always been so excited about this transition that we're going through, the changes that we're going through, because it's an opportunity to redo, to do things over and to start with the human being, the individual, instead of fetching from the outside
yeah,
answers and go-to things. So I suppose when I say big, small conversation, it's not to ignore the big context, the global debate and the narrative that is being driven right now, but there's an internal debate that is happening as well, and that's what I want to tap into. When this time bubble of the lockdown is gone, what does your life look like beyond that when they open the proverbial gates and we're free?
I think we shouldn't rush to get out there to go back to our former selves or life as we knew it, because lo and behold, there's going to be another strain of some mad disease or mad virus, and we're back down to lockdown and we learn nothing. So first, it is to tune into self. People wake up every day. You started off by speaking of the busy, and we're busy trying to go fend for our families, trying to do better. I'm working so hard so that I can do better for my son. I'm working so hard so that I can do well for my wife, for my mother, for whatever. But in being out there all the time, we miss the important link of actually being still and spending time with these people that we are going out to fend for. So even when you do attain something for them, so you put them in a good school, you buy them the greatest pair of Air Jordans, you buy them XYZ, it doesn't stick because you hand over and you turn around to go look again. So what you then create back with whoever you're fending for is literally what this beggar is doing, just putting your hand out, right? So you are working, you get to a stage where you don't feel appreciated, they're receiving, they don't get to see you, they then dissociate from you, and then there's just this discord that's happening. So this time is giving us a chance to actually shut down, get comfortable with the anxiety of not knowing what's next. But in that, it is an opportunity for us just to immerse ourselves in what is the period that we're in right now. So live from hour to hour. Take it like that, hour to hour, and make the most of it.
And you know that I spoke to a friend of mine who said he was extremely nervous about going back into his home because he has no idea how to be and to connect with the people that live in his house. And these people are his family, his wife, kids. And he says that for so long, he was so obsessed with exactly what you said, providing a good life for them, that he lost the ability to even know who they are, and vice versa, I would imagine. So he was feeling conflicted about this time, is that what am I going back home to? And it's the process of having to reintroduce yourself to the people that are most important to you, which is bizarre. So we live next to each other. Our lives live next to each other. Even though we're in the same space, we don't know, we are strangers to each other. So I completely agree with your point. What is the one thing you're going to leave behind?
Being busy for the sake of busy.
And what's a new thing that you're going to adopt?
Getting into the daily habit of doing that thing that we were not raised with. Just sit still. So sit still in meditation. So for us, I'm a Black African male. Kiwaka meditation, it's a new thing.
I'm already thinking of the people in the network and the reaction.
But having practiced breathing exercises, just clearing the mind. I spoke of anxiety. So just the daily practice of breathing and just letting go.
Yeah.
So start the day before. So if you say a prayer and do your breathing, right? Yeah. So that's the one thing that I have found to be most helpful. Just breathe properly, meditate, and actually set a tone for your day.
I think you touch on something that we cannot ignore, that anxiety is going to be a very big thing for a lot of people, for a lot of us. And I was saying the other day that I'm a swinging pendulum myself between absolute clarity and inspiration, knowing exactly what I want and what I'm going to do. And in the very next moment, the pendulum swings to the other side where I've got my hands on my head and I have no idea where the next client is going to come from. The next, what are we going to do if the economy is at a halt? How are we going to survive? So I swing between the two, and I think we must be very real in accepting that a lot of people are going to be uncertain and anxious and stressed. And what I would say to people is that there are so many incredible tools out there to deal with exactly that. And I know, and I work with a few, and I will share them in the series. But I have one more question for you before we close out, though. When you think about your career, do you think you will work and conduct yourself in your career the way you did before? Or are you going to open up new possibilities for yourself?
Well, I think this COVID shutdown catches me at a time where I was already in the be open to new opportunities, be open to doing things differently, playing around with different business models, where before you would have charged a higher premium for a service, rather charge a lower fee, and then try to reach out to as many people as possible. I think a lot of people are now beginning to talk of the democratization of business models. So that is something that I buy into wholeheartedly. And I think as a main going post the lockdown, whatever business model that one works with, it will actually, it's not just about me, or just looking after my corner. So, right. So that's some of the lessons. So we may learn about how to deal with self, but how then do we extend it to business?
Yeah.
So
I can't wait to hear the details, maybe not in this conversation, but because I know you, I know what you're working on, and I think it's incredibly exciting, and I can't wait for you to share it with everybody else. So, but thank you for the big, small conversation.
Thank you for reaching out. These are small conversations, but much needed. We need to connect with each other. And I think we are learning something else, right? So through the power of tech, we're on a Zoom call right now. We don't have to feel displaced. We don't have to feel like we're isolated from each other. So
absolutely,
no man is an island. We should still stay connected, but in being connected, we should bring a whole person. Not a person, bit part person, bring ourselves whole.
And that's why I love these conversations, because nobody has the excuse anymore that I don't have time to show up as all of you. And for some people, they still have to find who that person is. But I think these conversations will help with that as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Zuki.
We'll chat soon. Bye-bye.